Hey everyone, Kyle once again. Hey, welcome back to another movie review. And reviewing another anniversary review. Another 20th anniversary review from 1998. And it's another action film that I enjoyed, and not people to me talk about the film. I'm sure some people have, though, but this film doesn't get talked because it's another film, it's another action film that bombed. And that is if, and when it came out, and actually, it came out in January 1998. That was the same time when Deep Rising came out. Well, this came out first, and then Deep Rising afterwards. Both films flopped badly. Well, this one was more of an expensive flop than Deep Rising was. And it's an action film that I enjoy. It stars Morgan Freeman and Christian Slater. Hard Rain. And as I said, it was released in January of 1998, and it bombed hard. It cost 70 million, made 19 million. Well, like I said, I said before, January is always a bad month for pricey, expensive films like this to come out to release in January, and they bomb. I don't know if people learned not to put big budget films in like this in January because they don't do that well. January is a bad month for films to be, especially for expensive films. So, but yeah, but it bombed hard. It has a 20% Rotten Tomatoes and has a 5.8 IMDb. I gave a little more higher ratings because I enjoyed the film. And among the cast, you got Randy Quaid in there, and you got Minnie Driver. Minnie Driver as well. That afterwards she would go in and voice Jane in Disney's Tarzan afterwards. But she's been also like Good Will Hunting as well. And the cast does a pretty a good job. Especially I like Morgan Freeman. I like Christian Slater. Especially afterward before this he did Broken Arrow was '96 though, and this is where I guess when Christian Slater was rising after the success of Broken Arrow, him becoming more of an action star. Here he get starred in something like this that bombed, and since then probably that hasn't done much like in leading roles in much since. So sad to say, but I think he's still a good actor. Christian Slater hasn't done much nowadays, but I would like to see if give him another chance in a starring role. Give him some more lead roles in the film. And Randy Quaid, he's good, and Minnie Driver. Um, Among other supporting cast members, you got surprisingly, we got Betty White in here from the Golden Girls, and her husband in the film is actually played by Richard Dysart. For those who know, he was in John Carpenter's The Thing. He was Doctor Copper, for famous for the defibrillator on the, what's his name Norris was on the table, and Richard Dysart was Dr. Copper. He was doing the defibrillators, and then the chest opens up and he gets his arms torn off. That's Richard Dysart. And he was also in, I think he was also in the other horror film called Prophecy. It was about this mutant bear. I think I recall him starring in that as well. But yeah, the Richard Dysart from John Carpenter's The Thing. He plays Betty White's husband, who's always like in the film verbally abusive to him. Edward Asner, he's been in films as well. He plays as Christian Slater's partner in the film. I think he was also said he was his uncle as well. Edward Asner, he's been in films as well. I haven't watched too many of them though, but as voice roles go, he voiced J. Jonah Jameson in the '94 Spider-Man anime show, which I grew up watching on Fox Kids. He voiced J. Jonah Jameson, and he also voiced Hudson from Gargoyles. Among Goliath's Gargoyle clan, he voiced Hudson. So that was pretty. It was pretty cool to see him in this. The voice of J. Jonah Jameson and Hudson from Gargoyles. But he also voiced our lead guy Carl from Disney Pixar's Up as well. So it's nice to see him in this as well. So overall, pretty decent cast. Supporting cast members. Directed by Michael Salomon. I think this is the only film he's directed. Since the film bombed, he's gone back to direct TV episodes of TV series. So, and also the writer of this film is Graham Yost, who wrote on Speed as well, and Broken Arrow too. So you got a good writer on this film, and so the writer of Speed and Broken Arrow. So you got a lot of good cast and a good writer in this film as well. And the whole gist of the plot is Christian Slater and his partner Edward Asner. They're guards of an armored truck. They're transporting $3 million, and while all during this heavy flood that's going on in a place called was it Hundenburg? There's this major flood that's going on, like hard rain, like the title says. It's flooding this town, and Randy Quaid is the sheriff with two deputies, and one of the deputies, Wayne, character named Wayne, that's Mark Ralston. He played Drake from Aliens, the one who got acid on his face. I was like, hey, that's this Drake from Aliens. I recognize him, and I completely forgot that he was in two of the Saw films. He was an FBI. He played an FBI agent appeared in Saw 5 and 6. I forgot he was in that. I didn't care for the Saw sequels that much, but he was in that as the FBI agent in there. I forgot he was in that. Yeah, but mostly from mainly Drake from Aliens. He plays as Randy Quaid's deputy. And there's another guy in there, deputy. And they're directing, the fact that the whole town's being evacuated, except for Betty White and Richard Dyhurst, because Betty White, he's just being bitchy to her husband, verbally abusing him, and then, no, we want to stay at our house because of looters, so we set traps. And Richard Dyhurst he wants to leave, but she says, no, we're staying. So, it's just Betty White, being, once again, acting like a bitch, I mean, she was like that in Lake Placid. I didn't care for her in Lake Placid. I think when I reviewed it, I think I didn't care for her because, she's acting all bitchy and all that. I mean, it's like when she was telling Brendan Gleeson as the sheriff in Lake Placid, he's like, if I dig, this is where I tell you to suck it. So yeah, I didn't care. It was just, a lot of people find it about a lot for like in the comedy, like The Proposal, like she was funny in that though, but not as a bitchy in this film or in Lake Placid. But the town's being evacuated. Sheriff's directing the people out. And Christian Slater and Edward Asner, they're transporting $3 million in their armored car. And we got Morgan Freeman and his little gang. They want to get the money. Like the trucks, the truck stalls. They come in, and one of the guys named Kenny, in Morgan Freeman's group, shoots without even Morgan Freeman said don't shoot yet, but the guy still shoots. There was a bit of humor before that when they were in the diner, and like Morgan Freeman tells this guy Kenny to look at a crossword puzzle, right? And he says, and you mentioned money again, I'll kill you. So I thought that was a little funny that Morgan Freeman did. It's like 26 across. You can read it. Reads it. Mention money again, I'll kill you. So that's a little bit of the humor Morgan Freeman did. I thought it was funny. But the guy, he's a dumbass. He shoots, accidentally killing Edward Asner, and Christian Slater, he takes the money and hides it in a cemetery. And while they chasing after him, one other guy in their group, he's like one who like says biblical quotes from the Bible, buff some of the grounds with the flood and the rain, stuff like that. And there was another guy who was he was a science teacher as well. And they chase after him, and then Christian Slater hides in a church. He gets knocked out by Minnie Driver, and he's thrown in a jail cell. Tells them about the money, he's a guard, and all that. And the guy, one of the deputies, Mark Rolton, he locks him in, which Randy Quaid mentions over before, and later is like, you locked him in. But then time we saw like events with the dam because trying to keep from flooding. But one thing leads to another. That it starts overflowing. The town's getting flooded more when Christian Slater is sitting in the jail cell. It's being flooded. You get a good little suspenseful scene where it's being flooded, and like for once he sees keys on the desk, thinks it's the keys to the lock though, but it's actually keys to a car, and he's like, oh, okay, I'll just drive out of here. And a little suspenseful scene is where he takes like a part of his flashlight to use to breathe through the ceiling, and Minnie Driver goes back to on the roof to let him out just before he gets covered up so he can breathe. It's a little suspenseful scene right there where he's trying to breathe. So she helps him and takes while once again being chased by Morgan Freeman, his group, and before like once again I always have a habit of skipping scenes before he was knocked unconscious at the jail cell. He was being like a fun chase scene where in a flooded school where from Morgan Freeman and his group like they're on jet skis. It was a good chase scene where a jet ski scene in a flooded school where the guy Kenny he runs into a flooded staircase because he didn't see it, flies into a trophy case, and then Christian Slater takes it and leaves before he gets knocked out by Minnie Driver. So you get a fun little chase scene in the flooded school. It's funny, like, speaking of jet ski scenes, like shortly afterwards, you get a fun jet ski chase scene in Deep Rising. It's funny, really enough, as they're escaping from the monsters as the ship's gonna blow up. So that was kind of funny. A jet ski scene, a flooded school in this film, and then you get a fun jet ski scene where as they're escaping from the ship is about to blow up in Deep Rising. It's funny how that is, you know. Two jet ski scenes in a film as two films that are really close from being released in the same month in 1998. But anyway, so after all that, after they escape from the jail from Morgan Freeman's group, they they hide in where Betty White's and Richard Dysart's house. And once again, Betty White being verbally abusive to her husband because Christian Slater knows when to get the money, and they let him. Richard Dysart wants them to take their boat, and Betty White's like, "Oh no, don't take the boat, you know, don't take the boat. You get back." And he was like, once again, being bitchy, you know, and just. But when he gets to the cemetery, they're he gets back to the armored car to get a shotgun, and that's when he has them held up hostage in their boat, and takes him to the cemetery. And then Christian tells him to let him go, which he does because Morgan Freeman's not an evil guy. All he wanted was the money. He never wanted nobody to get hurt. It was just Kenny's part that messed up when they got Edward Asner killed. So Morgan Freeman, he's not an evil guy. He just wants money with nobody getting hurt in the first place. So he lets the people, the old couple go, and once again Betty White just mouthing off to her husband, and he was gonna turn around and head back towards them, and it's like, "Do you want to get out of here? You want this?" And finally puts her in her place and tells her, "Then shut the fuck up." I think Richard Dysart did a good job just putting Betty White in her place because he has had enough with her verbal abuse for too long now. To me personally, she kept on doing it, I'll just throw her off the boat. But yeah, it was fun to see him just put her in her place. Although one thing later during when the big flood, when the dam breaks, all of a sudden you see them just stuck in a tree. I mean, that was like a random scene because you think they would have gotten out of there by now, but no, we had to show them they're still there, and the town will still be flooding. All of a sudden, we see them there on the boat, and all of a sudden they're just randomly in a tree holding on during the big flooding begins. I mean, to me personally, I think you didn't need to put that in there. I mean, you could show that you could just let them, after the verbal abuse he had, told her to be quiet and all that. You never need to see them again, assuming that they got away safely. But I guess just to keep up that they're still there when it's flooding, you see them randomly in a tree, a flooded tree, still alive though. I mean, you didn't need to put that scene in there. I mean, it just shows you just let them go off and then be safe though. But we need to put them see that they're still alive still. But anyway, next on where Christian Slater tries to get the money in that cemetery though, but it's gone because Randy Quaid, he took the money. He seemed like Randy Quaid seemed like a nice guy at first, a good sheriff though, but there's this little twist. He turns into a bad guy because he took the money and he's greedy. And plus, he said there was brought up that wasn't reelected, and he's saying, for 20 years I've been eating shit, and now breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So now he's not gonna be a good guy anymore. He's just because he wants the money now, and starts shooting at Christian Slater, Morgan Freeman. He kills the remaining two of Morgan Freeman's guys, the Bible guy and the science teacher. Because earlier Kenny, before when they were trying to get into when Minnie Driver and Christian Slater get into the Betty White's house, the guy Kenny, he gets electrocuted because there was a transformer that was gonna blow up, and he's on the metal pole, and he gets electrocuted and he dies from that. So, but Randy Quaid and his guys shoot the other two guys that were with Morgan Freeman. And Morgan Freeman holds a gunpoint, like, to shoot me, you have to go through Tom, that's Christian Slater's character. And Randy Quaid all of a sudden goes, the twist. Okay then. Boom, tries to shoot them. So he had the money. And then there's another guy a guy named Hank, who worked at the dam. He's also with Randy Quaid. Tells him, no, we got the money, $3 million, split 4 ways. And Minnie Driver, she gets knocked out, and Morgan Freeman and Christian Slater, they hide in the church. And you find out that explains how Morgan Freeman found out about the armored truck, because Edward Asner, Morgan Freeman explains to Christian Slater that Edward Asner was in on with Morgan Freeman. He said there was a National Guard coming. There isn't, because he told Morgan Freeman where to meet them. So he was in on with Morgan Freeman, but he was killed accidentally. And he was explaining more about him in the church and asking what he's going to do with the money. And then Randy Quaid and they throwing Molotov cocktails to burn the church down, but it's too rainy, so it creates little holes in the roof. So they run in. They run the boat through the window, and the one deputy, not Mark Rolson, but this other guy who kind of likes Minnie Driver. He's the one, he doesn't think all this is wrong, just he doesn't want to hurt people. And the other guy that was with him, Hank, shoots him, says wuss. Shoots him, and the guy's still alive though. And Christian Slater kind of see the guy didn't want to do this at all, so. And they hold Randy Quaid at gunpoint. Tells him that's where's Minnie Driver at, because the other guy, Mark Rolston, takes her to a house, handcuffs her. He was gonna, wants to, get in her pants and all that. But she fights back. She stabs him like in the back right here, and he bleeds to death. Kills him. But she's handcuffed, so while the place is flooding, and while Christian Slater goes after Minnie Driver, Randy Quaid had a hidden gun. He shoots Morgan Freeman, but only like right here in the shoulder. And he takes a guy, but the other guy was with him as the dam breaks. And the wounded deputy, the good deputy, he's finished, so he grabs onto a Bible as the thing floods, so he knows he's gonna die, so he grabs onto that Bible, the faithful, to hold on to when he gets washed away. And then the other guy, Randy Quaid's an asshole now, because he pushes the guy off the boat, and he tries to grab onto something, then there's like a gas tank, hits him, and he blows up, he flies, you see him shoot up. Decent fire stunt, where the guy just flies up. And if I mention the whole production, I can definitely see the $70 million on the screen. It's how made this whole town flooded. They said that they actually shot in that town, and also for the a lot of parts in like an aircraft hangar, and just I thought the production value was really good of all this town being flooded and all constantly raining. So I did like the set of the whole flooded town. Also, the production was pretty good, the set pieces and all that. So yeah, you definitely see the budget on the screen for that. So I give him credit for that. It wasn't all complete. It wasn't all green screen. It was an actual flooded setting, no green screen, real rain, not CGI rain. So I do give him definitely give him kudos for that. An actual set, not a CGI set. Um, so Christian Slater helps Minnie Driver out of there, and then Randy Quaid starts shooting at him. And Morgan Freeman, he gets on a boat. He's on his boat. Then he speeds up. He flies off the roof, and the motor comes off and it hits Randy Quaid. But he's still alive. He was about to grab one of the bags of money and was going to shoot Minnie Driver, but then Morgan Freeman and Christian Slater, they shoot him back. And then the state police arrive, and Morgan Freeman, he grabs the one bag that Randy Quaid had, just one bag, and just, better than nothing. And he just rolls away, he looks back at them, smiling. And Minnie Driver asks Christian Slater about the church, is it alright? Well, a little damage, or it didn't help with them driving through the window. And then it ends with that song. I forget what the song was called. I thought it was a pretty good song during the credits that were rolling. But yeah, Hard Rain. I had fun with the film. It was a good action film. I like it is set in this flooded. Which originally it was a title. The title was called The Flood, though. But I guess they changed it because The Flood seemed like a title for another disaster film. Like Earthquake or The Towering Inferno or etc. among those kind of names of disaster films. So they thought it would be like a disaster film, but they changed it. And so because there was going to be more like an action, more shootouts and all that stuff, so they changed it to Hard Rain. And also at one point, John Woo was going to direct this. The director of Broken Arrow and Face Off. But he left this, so he'd go on to direct Face Off. Well, that would be cool, because, once again, working with Christian Slater, because, they worked previously on Broken Arrow. That would have been interesting to see what John Woo would direct Hard Rain. But he went to go on to direct Face Off. I like Face Off. I reviewed the film. Broken Arrow I still put above it. A lot of people say Face Off is his best film. Broken Arrow is, to me, hands down. Even though I love Hard Target. I still like Face Off. Mission Impossible 2. I still prefer the first film above it. Number 3 above it. Including 5 and 6. Recently, Fallout, the 6th one, I put above number 2. But John Woo, I'm saying, Mission Impossible 2. But Broken Arrow, to me, is his best film. Even though I liked Hard Boil as well, with Chow Yun-fat. But it would have been interesting to see if he would have done direct Hard Rain. But Michael Salomon, he did a good job directing the film. If the film didn't flop, though, maybe he would get going to direct more films, but who knows. And plus, if it would have came out in the summer, I think it would have been more a bigger hit for an action film. But I guess released in January, because it's cold in the film, because of the hardest coldness, maybe release in winter, who knows. Just don't release these, once again, don't release these big, expensive films in January. They just end up bombing badly, like this film, or Deep Rising. Or even, like, 2017, like the film Monster Trucks. That was a big budget film. That bombed badly. Don't release these big, massive budgeted films in January, or they're going to end up bombing. So, yeah. But for the film, I enjoyed the film. I liked the production values, the sets of the whole town flooding. I like that. The cast did a good job. Morgan Freeman, especially Morgan Freeman, Christian Slater, Minnie Driver. Randy Quaid, it's still a little bit iffy if you want to think that he seemed like a good sheriff, though. Then also he does a sudden twist that he becomes a bad guy. It's all like you take it or leave it. You think it's a good or a bad thing. But overall performance-wise, Randy Quaid did a good job as well. It was nice to see Edward Asner in there. Richard Dyhurst, I thought he was good, especially especially it was funny when he finally stood up for himself and told Betty White to be quiet. But Betty White just didn't need another role with her just being like a mouthy bitch, basically. The score by Christopher Young, it's there. I would say it's an alright score. It's on for 96 minutes. Without end credits, like about 92 or 91 minutes. So it's a well paced film. It was not that long of a movie. No features in this film. I would like to hear features about how what they do with the production says, making the film, the film being flooded and all that. I like to hear see a behind the scenes about it, but no. This is a film bombs badly, no features. So, but at least a couple on the front right here by NBC TV, a compelling, fast-paced thriller of the first order. Compelling, fast-paced thriller, I'll agree with. Yeah. And the back here says a wild, thrilling, chilling action ride from ABC TV. Thrilling action ride, I will agree with that. I like the action of the film. It was good. But Morgan Freeman, once again, I enjoy as an actor. He did a great job. And Christian Slater. If the film didn't bomb, he would get more leading roles in the film. Just because, coming off the success of Broken Arrow, I wish he would get more leading roles. Just give the guy another chance. He can pull off in action films. Give the guy another chance. But Minnie Driver was good. Randy Quaid. I see Edward Asner in there. Richard Dysart, Betty White. The guys who played more in Morgan Freeman's group, I honestly didn't care for them. Even the guys who were the deputies as well. Even the guy who seemed like the good deputy, he was there though. But I overall just didn't care for the two deputies, even including Mark Rolston. But overall, yeah, I still enjoy the film. 20 years later, I think it's a pretty good action film. It deserves another watch. If anyone hasn't seen it, I would recommend you give it a watch. If anyone who's a fan of Morgan Freeman or Christian Slater, give the film a watch. I would recommend it. Just don't let the film bombing badly fool you. It's good, more good than it looks, basically. But yeah, so that's my 20th anniversary review of Hard Rain. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned on the next movie review later. And be sure to check it out. Worth a watch. Later.